Hey, I just wanted to do a quick stretch and fold and I was going to show you. So this, as you can see, is much more like everything's thickened up and it's kind of pasty. So that's perfect. That's ready to go. And then here's my bread and you can see it's kind of shaggy. So because it's a high hydration dough, I'm actually going to get my hands just a little bit wet, not sopping. I just kind of shook it off. So it's not sopping wet, but it's a little moist. And I'm going to just do this. And then, okay, so I'm going to, get my phone wet. Going to pull my dough, just kind of stretch it out a little bit, and then I'm gonna just take some of that, and that's kind of a lot. That's okay. Loop it in. All right. And then I'm just gonna kind of, that's probably a little too much, but put some of that back. Okay, so loop it in, stretch, and then I'm gonna connect it to the dough on the other side and add a little more of my add-in, stretch, add it to the other side, and kind of poke it down, add some more of my mix-ins there. Again, I'm kind of going heavy on the mix-ins now because it'll give me more of a chance to work them in as I go later. So stretch there, and it's gonna start giving me some resistance. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm not doing a good job of being, there are prettier ways to stretch and fold this, but because I'm doing a lot of mix-in, I'm just going crazy. Okay, so there's a little bit of mix-in left. I'll do that again in 30 minutes, and we'll just kind of mix the rest of this in next time. And then I'll do 4 total stretch and folds. So by the time I'm done, this will be really well incorporated. I'm not gonna record all of those, but I just wanted to show you this first stretch and fold. Well, maybe I'll record 1 or 2 because that was not, I didn't do a very pretty job there, but anyway, there you go. Okay, here we go. So this has now been sitting for a little more than a half hour. I started it this morning and then I had meetings. So my first stretch and fold was done at like 25 minutes, and then it's now been about 45 minutes to an hour or something like that between those stretch and folds and this stretch and fold. So I'm gonna go ahead and wash my hands real quick. Okay. And then my hands are wet because I just washed them. And so again, I shook them off so they're not sopping wet, but they're just kind of damp. This is like right before I would go grab a towel and wipe them off. So I'm going to just, ooh, it's kind of warm, and I can see how it's getting a little smoother now than it was the first time. Just going to stretch that out a little bit. Right, I'm going to take some of this stuff that I'm mixing in, just squish it on there. All right. Okay. Mix in. So I'm just going to do a stretch this way and then fold, and you can see it's kind of breaking because I stuffed so much of that in it, and that's fine. I'm going to maybe pinch that closed, but it doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to stretch this way, and you can see it's kind of giving really nice and easy. It's stretching easily. Same thing, it's kind of stretching easily, but it is giving me a little bit more tension than the last stretch and fold that I did. The first stretch and fold was very like loose and easy. Sometimes if I start running into this, let me just pull my sleeves. Sometimes if I start running into this where it's really breaking and that stuff is starting to come out, and I can feel that it's kind of thin on the surface on the back here, I might just take it and kind of just, I do need it. You're not really supposed to need high hydration doughs. And again, or kind of massage it and sort of just really try to get this stuff to be really, generally with mix-ins, you're actually gonna stretch and fold it in so that you kind of leave your structure nice. But because this is an early stage of my dough and it hasn't really risen yet, I'm not losing any air really by doing this. Right now, it's more that the gluten strands are forming. The yeast is munching on that flour that I fed it, so it is rising a little bit. It's maybe a little bit bigger than it was, but not noticeably so. So there's not a ton of air that you're losing here. Stretch and folds are designed to sort of incorporate more air into your bread as you do it. So by doing it this way, I'm not incorporating more air. But as you can see, that all of that healthy seed mixture that I put in is really starting to kind of get mixed in with the dough. This is not the method that you will see online. So I'm just doing my thing. But it'll be fine. It'll be fine because the rise is going to happen later. So I'm not really losing anything by doing it this way. And now it's really like messy. Let me just kind of stick my fingers into the middle there to make sure this is really like thoroughly incorporated. And again, I'm going to kind of just like take my hand and scrape around the edge of the bowl and try to get some of those mix-ins in there. So it's really messy, but I can see if you pull on it, it's giving me a little more resistance than it was when I first started. I can feel it's kind of pulling a little bit. Adding this much seed mixture to it, or add this much mix-ins, does kind of stand in the way of those gluten strands forming, which is why normally with the stretch and folds, you're going to do it a little more carefully and kind of leave the bread intact. So like orange slices, chocolate chips, nuts, seasoning, all those kinds of things, I would use less and I would kind of incorporate it. But this is the way that I like my bread. And I'm going to sort of compensate for the lack of structure that it has now. I'm going to compensate for that later, and I'll explain that as I'm doing it. So anyway, so that's it. That's my second stretch and fold, and I'm gonna just leave it there. Okay, I know I said I wasn't gonna record the other ones, but I am, because I realized it's important for you to see how the structure of the dough changes over time. So it's been another half hour. So I can feel it's kind of soft, it's very pliable, it's very stretchy, as you can see. And even with all of the seeds mixed into it, it's doing a better job of kind of retaining those now. So I'm just going to go around. A lot of times with stretch and folds, people just do like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that's it. But I reach all the way under. I really try to get in there, give it a nice long pull, make sure all of that beautiful gluten starts to kind of develop. This is giving me a little more pull here than the other areas were, so that means there's more gluten development there, but it'll relax in between things. And then just kind of pull here, just give it a nice little stretch. If I'm working with a plain dough, I don't massage it quite as much as I'm doing right now. I'm doing this because it is a little bit, like with the seeds, I'm still trying to get them to kind of be incorporated. So I'm massaging it a little more, but generally you can just kind of like grab it like this and sort of pull it out. But you can see that already that's pulling less, like it's giving me less to pull. And if I pull here, this under piece that's kind of sticking under may give me some pull, but the parts that I've already stretched, like this might be pullable. Let's see, where's some good, yeah, like this I've already kind of stretched, and so you can see it's not quite coming out as far. It's probably an inch or so in. Same thing here. This is, I can feel that it's giving me more attention here, and it's not quite coming out as far when I just pull on it. So, and you just saw how I pulled on this and the dough started to lift up. That's good. That means that the gluten's really starting to form. I'm doing more than you need to right now. I just wanted to sort of demonstrate like the tension that you start to see. That one had a lot of seeds in it, so that wasn't a good example, but like here, you know, again, I'm pulling on it and it's not stretching as much as it was. Like it was kind of coming to about there before, and now it's sort of, when I pull on it, I can really feel the tension and it's starting to lift the dough, whereas before it was just letting me stretch it. So that's done, that's good. I'm just kind of pinching it together because it's got all those seeds in it. So just tucking it in. There you go. Have a nice nap. Enjoy your nap, little bread. Okay, that's it. So we'll wait one more half hour and then I'll show you the last one so you can see kind of the structure, and then we're gonna let it sit and do its bulk rise after that. Hey, okay, we're gonna do our last stretch and folds, and I apologize, it's a little bit noisy in here right now. They're doing some work outside, and then also I'm cooking my lunch, but it's time to do the stretch and folds, and I have just a moment while my lunch is warming up, so I'm just gonna do that. I just washed my hands, just again, kind of damp, and you can see that it's sort of holding its shape a little bit better now, and when I pull on it, it's giving a little bit, but not quite as much as it was before. The dough is nice and stretchy and it's smooth. The seeds are pretty well incorporated into the dough, and so this is looking really good. This is our last step of stretch and folds, which I am finally doing fairly normally. That's about what I do. That's about normal for a stretch and fold, so usually they're really, really fast. I mean, you can usually do them in maybe a minute, you know, maybe two if you're going slow. But anyway, so that's the stretch and fold. So I'm going to put the lid back on it, and now it needs to bulk rise. So I've set up the oven here. First of all, I have this little sticker. I apologize of the stove. I was making a mess during lunch, but anyway, Frank Donatra is the name of my guy. So I put that over there so that I don't accidentally turn on the oven when he's in there and like forget that it's in there. And then so my oven is prepped for it to warm. I want to bake my dough. I want to bake my bread tonight, which normally, if you're doing regular sourdough, I just realized this is real crooked, but whatever, it's fine. If you're doing regular sourdough, it would be over several days, and that increases the sour flavor. It's not how much sour, or not how much starter is in it that gives it the sour flavor. The hooch does help with the sour flavor if you want more of that, but it's actually how long it sits and ferments in the fridge. So the bulk rise is usually something that you just leave it on the counter. You want it kind of between like 65 to 75 degrees, depending on, you know, how quickly it's going to rise. And, you know, it'll rise if it's cooler than that, it'll rise slower. If it's warmer than that, it'll rise really fast. So I want to bake this tonight because I did not plan well and I ran out of bread yesterday. So I am putting in this hot pad on top of cooking rack. The cooking rack is to keep it clean. But so I put it on this cooking rack and it's gonna sit just, you know, a little bit. There's a gap, so it's not touching it. But this is set on low, and I've also done even up to high on this to get the bread to rise really fast. So I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna leave it in there. Sometimes I'll put a towel over the top of this, even I'll leave the lid on, but I'll put a towel over the top of it to help capture some of that heat. I'm not gonna do that today. I might even bump it up to medium because I'm not doing the towel. My goal is to speed up the bulk rise process by putting this underneath. This is really hit and miss. Like, you're really gonna have to kind of play with it. I'm gonna leave this, usually you let it bulk rise for about 8 to 12 hours. In this case, because I have other types of flour in here and I've just done this enough, I'm gonna leave this in here with the hot pad for about 3 to 4 hours, and then I'm gonna see how it's doing. So after the bulk rise, we'll shape the loaf, and then it does a second rise after that before you bake it. So my goal is to get this warm enough that this does
kind of the bulk rise side of it, about doubling in size, doubling from that, maybe just slightly under doubling. Anyway, and then I will shape it, put it in a bowl, and I'm gonna really powder the heck out of the bowl, and then I'm gonna put it back in with the hot pad, maybe on a slightly higher temperature, so that by the time dinner time rolls around tonight, I can have a nice fresh loaf of bread. It won't be super sour tasting, but it'll be really like yeasty and delicious, and the crust is really, really good. Sometimes the seeds, they don't really add a lot of flavor, but on the edges, when they get toasted, they do kind of have like a nice toasty seed flavor that's really lovely. So so this is ready. I'm gonna just leave it as is, and then I'll take another video when I do the next step.